Right, Darren, a busy week. If we can just go back to last weekend, obviously the chairman's comments on Twitter, you said you've spoken to the players about that. How did they react to that?
No, it was dealt with very quickly. We didn't spend a long time on it. The chairman, you know, in this day and age, we've got this social media, and the chairman uses it a lot, which is free to do. And I just said to the players, got to be honest with you, most of the stuff he said was right. So we have to be man enough to deal with it and get on with it. And as the owner of the football club, he can do what he wants, really. So it's been dealt with very quickly. It's the chairman's way of showing his frustration. You know, he'd just taken us to Spain for a week, which wasn't a reward at all. It was a case of him trying to help us and get together, you know, on better surfaces, and it did help. It really did. Obviously, we wanted to get the result off the back of that. We didn't, but it was just his way of venting frustration. No one's got a problem with it.
And I suppose it's things they probably would have seen themselves anyway before Monday when you had the chat, I believe, and obviously probably nothing different from what was said in the dressing room after the game, or to that effect, really.
No, the dressing room was really, you know, basically it was a game that summed up our season. Not enough quality in the last third attacking wise, and too many sloppy goals given away, and it's probably a game that if you looked at it would sum the season up perfectly.
Can they use those words though from the chairman positively?
Well, listen, I don't know if it's a case of them using that as a motivation. They know themselves that they're not. You know, the results suggest that you know the motivation is to get that one win back and get going again. And I don't think we have to look into it too much than we already have, really.
I promise we will get off the topic of social media, but I know when Marcus Maddison came off, he looked a bit unhappy, a bit frustrated with his display. He said on Twitter he was disappointed to be taken off again. Is he just not quite back to his best, do you feel?
Well, there's a two-part question there. One you've mentioned about the media, the social media again, is he regrets obviously doing that. A little bit silly and naive.
And he has deleted it since, I believe.
Yeah, so. I believe so. And the other thing is his performance was one of frustration for him and for myself. And we know what talent the boy is. He just needs to get back to the form that he had before he got injured. Simple.
And then moving to the earlier part of the week, obviously you've called this fans forum for tonight, for Thursday evening. Your motivation, what prompted you to do that then?
Well, I feel that obviously there's a lot of frustration and stroke anger out there at the moment, quite understandably because of the results. And it was suggested to me, and it wasn't just my own idea. It was like Neil and Phil had suggested that maybe we should have a fans forum, and I, thinking about it, thought, yeah, it's a really good idea. We've got an opportunity tonight to get over. They'll get the questions that they want answered. It's not often that the fans can sit in front of the manager and get the answers off the actual manager. And I felt, out of respect to the supporters, it was a good idea. It's their football club at the end of the day, and it gives me an opportunity to answer it face to face with them, and I think it's a good thing for them and possibly for me.
So coming out of tonight then, after the fans forum, how do you hope it will go? What are you hoping to achieve from it? I know you can understand that.
I mean, it's not about what you achieve. The only thing we're trying to achieve, myself and the team, is to get wins. Tonight's more about me giving the fans the respect I feel they're due to sit in front of them and answer certain questions that I'm sure they've got. And there is a lot of frustration and anger, but at the end of the day, as long as it's done, which I'm sure it will be and always has, we've done it before in the past, obviously, when things have been slightly better in a respective manner, then I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. And the one thing you don't become is you don't become a bad manager overnight, and that's something we're speaking about tonight.
And obviously everyone in the world of football has to be thick-skinned. You say frustration and anger, and you say understandably so as well. You're expecting it to be maybe a bit frosty at the start, but obviously a chance to clear the air in a way.
I've no idea. I think it's a good opportunity, as I've said, to speak frankly in front of the fans and for them to ask the questions that I'm sure they want to ask, and that's the reason why we're doing it.
Grant McCann then, his move to Linfield, just explain that one for us if you can.
Simple. He had an opportunity to go and play football week in, week out, and he's taken it. And Grant and I have had numerous conversations throughout the season about obviously his role in the club, and not just this season. You know, when he signed his contract over in Ireland last pre-season, not the one just gone, the one before. managed to get him a 2-year deal, and part of that was me going to the chairman explaining that I wanted his second year to be more about coaching and perhaps having a role within the club, and Grant still feels that he can, you know, continue playing, and you know, I just felt that with the way I wanted to go with the club, which Grant totally respected and understood, if he was playing every week, he would lose an opportunity for a younger player. And he's had a great career at the club, done really well. We wish him all the best. But it's time for the younger players now, and as I explained to Grant, and he knew his role within the club was always going to change this season. So nothing's really changed apart from the fact that Grant wants to play more football, which he's free and entitled to do.
Did those discussions ever become sour or fairly amicable the whole time?
No, they were fine. His role was perfectly understood from day one, from the moment he signed his contract. But Grant just felt that he could play more games, and I respect that, you know. And he's also respected the fact that the direction I'm taking the club in, and it's not about results or all the rest of it. That was always the template for Grant and his role in the club.
Just speak about some of the obviously wonderful memories. Old Trafford obviously springs to mind, part of the Johnson's Paint Trophy win as well. He's had some great moments at the club.
He has, you know, and I changed his role when I came back to the club as a manager. I changed his role I felt would help him better, and it did. He then played with more bodies, and when we played the diamond, more numbers around him. But he was fantastic for the club, and a real favourite of the fans, and quite rightly so. Will always be remembered as one of the key players, especially in that promotion season. He scored in both semi-finals of the playoffs and the final, and when we got to the championship, he was pivotal in that well. So we wish him all the best. I'm sure he'll keep in touch with me, and if I can help him in any way, because I'm sure he will go into a coaching role, then he knows I'm there.
Just a final word on Grant, of course. He's now gone. That experience that you maybe had in that part of the pitch, you said obviously it's a chance for the younger players. Do you look to make a replacement in January?
No, I think we've got players that can play in there with good energies. Jack Payne's experienced enough. He's played over 200 games. Age-wise, maybe not. You've got Michael Bostwick that can play in there. So no, I think with what I've got, numbers-wise, we've just got to get better performances out of them. Obviously, Harry Buteman's come in and done very well. We've still got young Jermaine Anderson. If I felt obviously we got any injuries or I felt we needed improvement in there, I'm sure quite possibly I could go out and get someone.
Talking about injuries and going out and getting people, I believe that there's been a bit of a setback with Ben Anick.
Yeah, Ben's had this problem with his thigh. You could probably tell in his performance he's not been able to kick as quickly as he could. He's had a problem with his thigh for quite a while. To be fair to the boy, most keepers would have not been able to get through the games he has. He's got a great attitude. He's managed to get through the Christmas period. We just had to get him through that with NU. Obviously we had the break with no game on the 3rd of January. And he felt really good before the Colchester game, but it's gone again. He's scanned, he's pulled his thigh. He'll be out for 4 to 8 weeks. So we've had to move to get someone in loan.
So you brought in Scott Loach from Rotherham. Just I wanted to check. Just a little bit about Scott. Why you brought him in?
Listen, he's got good quality, good ability. He's got all the tools. As I said, a good career. Was really going places, and then it's stalled a little bit for whatever reason. But we know he's got the ability. It's maybe just getting that confidence back into him. He'll come here and play games. He's trained very well this morning. Been pleased with him. So he'll come straight into the game on Saturday. But he knows this league, and that's key as well.
So you've kind of been a bit aware of Ben's situation. Have you been looking at Scott for a little while then, or has this been in the last week or so?
No, only this week. We got the scan reports back on Tuesday, so we had to act on it from there. And we inquired about Scott, and fair play to Steve at Rotherham. He helped us out in terms of making sure he was available. So we've managed to do the deal.
So Scott's short term was about 4 weeks.
He's here till February the 14th. So yeah, a month.
And just to catch up on Aaron McCann's situation.
There's no
catch up. No discussion with Bradford or anything.
No, it is what it is. It's just the loan deal until the date is set, and there's been no discussion. We're concentrating on obviously the games coming up.
John Taylor, he's had a bit of a setback, I believe.
Yes, John's had a setback. His knee's inflamed again. He's been to see the surgeon again, so he's now going to have complete rest. Length of time could be anything from 2 to 4 weeks, probably bordering on more than 4 weeks. So he's had another setback.
Ben must have been one of the only players who hadn't picked up an injury. You must still be sitting there wondering what you've done to, I was going to say the injury gods, but probably the injury devils or something.
Yeah, there's 21 players injured. It's incredible, but we have to go on with it.
Anything else? Obviously, I know Jack's obviously not playing, but everyone else, nothing else?
No, everyone else, touch wood, is fine, and Scott will obviously come in for Ben. Personnel-wise, it'll probably be a similar 18 to what we had last week.
Let's talk a bit about the weekend then. Port Vale were, I think, second bottom when Rob Page came in, but he's done a great job and they're in the top half now.
Yeah, he's done very well, and they've picked up. Always a hard team to play at home. It's even as a player, I found it difficult there. Very much a team that, with our fans, if they get going, the fans are really quite vocal. So we'll have to make sure we deal with that. Big pitch, huge pitch.
Biggest in the Football League, I think.
Yeah,
it
is. So we have to make sure we deal with that as well in terms of how we keep the ball. You don't want to have to keep chasing the ball on a big pitch, so it's important. We spoke about that this morning. So yeah, we go there and we go there to win the game, obviously.
Does the pitch maybe lend its way to less of a diamond formation and more of a flat?
Well, we've not really played a diamond. I mean, I've played a diamond the least of any formation this season. We're very flexible with formations. We showed again on Saturday that we come up with another formation that really suited certain players, and for 30 minutes we were excellent at it. We should have really put the game to bed. But in particular at home, if you don't get that goal, it gives the opposition something to hang on to. In the last 5 minutes of the first half, they got into it a little bit more, which would have given them confidence. And the first goal was always going to be important. So we're very flexible within the formations we play. You can play a diamond and make sure your fullbacks are high and you get the width out of that. Even in the diamond, you can still get width from midfield players. We have a lot of rotation within that. But it's key that when you play in it's not massively different to what you're used to, but it's just slightly bigger. You don't want to keep chasing the ball, and it's a very heavy pitch as well.
You mentioned getting that goal in the first 20 minutes, half an hour on Saturday. Obviously, when you got the lead at Leyton Orient twice, you managed to hold on to it. You got something to fight for. Do you think that's maybe just what you need? Get your noses in front, and then you've got something to play with from there.
Well, I think we've got players that can really hurt teams when we go ahead. The stats show that 8 times we've been ahead this season. We've won 7 games, so it's a key stat to what we've looked at in the sort of break we had in Spain. We went through all different stats, but that was a key one. The players know that when they get ahead, they're hard to beat, and that is going to be important. And
I know obviously it's been a poor few months in terms of league position, but you're now going to try and obviously start climbing that back up again. And Port Vale, you can leapfrog them. It's the first step on that journey.
It is. You're right. And we've got to make sure that, because it will turn eventually. I really do think that. I'm very much one for thinking that it's very rare you keep losing every week and you keep winning every week. It's hard to maintain both, So it will turn, and it's just a matter of when it does turn, we get that confidence and we can kick on from it and make sure that we're in touch to 6th place. That's all we're looking at the moment. But you're absolutely correct. One step would be going above someone above us at the moment,
I think they've won 3 of their past 4 at home as well, so obviously lending weight to what you're saying.
No, they're a hard team to play at home, and the fans do play a part with them, and they can be very vocal and get behind their team. Likewise, if you get in top, they can go the other way. But be a difficult game. It's a big, heavy pitch, and we've got to make sure. The most important thing is when we get into these key areas that we did Saturday, we've got to be better. That's the key areas.
And if you don't get the desirable result at the weekend, with it being January, I know people don't really like to make too many wholesale changes in January. Do you look to maybe change things a bit more if you have to react to the weekend in that way?
Well, I'm obviously not thinking that way, but no, because I think you've got to be realistic, and we're a League One club, and League One clubs don't just go out and get 6 players in January. It's not as simple as that. I'm not a massive lover of getting players in January anyway. I've got to work with what I've got in front of me, and I've got to get more out of them. That's my job, and I've got to get better results from them. It's not a case of going and getting players, it's a case of working with what you've got and getting better results, and that's always how you're going to be judged.
And I know you've gone through streaks as a posh manager of good form and of bad form. How are you finding this current period? How's it testing you?
Yeah, it's a test. It's a test for everyone, and I've got to maintain a positive side to me, and I've got to make sure I'm positive with the players and the staff, and I do believe it will turn around. I really do. We've got to keep working hard, but at the end of the day, you can't keep saying it. You've got to do it, and something's got to give. But I do believe it will turn around. I really do.